Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum. I'm here today at Morphy's taking a look at some of the particularly cool shotguns that they have at the moment, including this Remington Model 17 Police Special. This is not sporterized, this is not cut down, this didn't come out of a crack house. This is actually the factory configuration of the Police Special version of the Model 17. Kind of an interesting thing. This is like the Shockwave, but 100 years earlier. So this is based on the Model 17, obviously, and I'll do a full video on the Remington Model 17 at some point covering its mechanics, but the short version is John Browning patented a number of improvements to Remington's Model 10 shotgun. He licensed those patents to Remington so that they could put a newer, better, lighter version into production. That didn't end up happening for a while because World War I broke out and Remington's production capacity was instead immediately all taken up by making rifles for various powers in World War I. During the war, John Pedersen, famous gun designer, extremely talented engineer, working for Remington, he makes a few tweaks to the design. Another Remington engineer by the name of Garrison makes a few tweaks to the design. It becomes not really a committee project, but it becomes a really nicely well-refined product by the time it's actually introduced onto the market in 1921. And it is only available in 20 gauge. And I think the reason for that is that one of the main benefits of the 17 over the Model 10 was lighter weight, and Remington figured this would be best exploited in a smaller bore shotgun. Like if we're gonna have a lightweight gun, we'll make it the smaller 20 gauge size, and like that'll be really synergistic. And we'll leave the 12 gauge versions to our existing Model 10. Ultimately, side note here, that doesn't turn out to have been the best option. Once the patents ran out, Ithaca essentially copied this gun and offered it as a lightweight 12 gauge, which became exceptionally popular. Anyway, Remington would produce this between 1921 and 1933. They made about 73,000 of them in a variety of configurations for sporting use, 26 out to 32-inch barrels, as well as a riot version with a 20-inch barrel. And then this guy, the Police Special. Now, during this time period, this was before the National Firearms Act, so there isn't any specific regulation on short shotguns, and there were a number of companies coming up with really handy, basically pistol-style shotguns. So things like Harrington and Richardson's Handygun, like this, the Ithaca Auto and Burglar. These were guns that were very useful for confined area self-defense use, and this was the sort of thing that police agencies did have a desire for. Detectives, undercover agents, stakeouts, this sort of thing. Having a more compact gun was certainly valuable, and I think Remington wanted to have some sort of option to compete with this sort of thing, but without having to tool up to make a whole new style of gun. So instead, let's just take our existing Model 17 and cut it down kind of as short as we can make it while maintaining a 4-round magazine capacity plus 1 in the chamber. And the result is the Police Special. Let me show you specifically what they did here. All right, here is the whole thing. There are no special police markings on it anywhere. On the side of the receiver, we have sort of standard Model 17 markings and the serial number. We have the serial number repeated there on the barrel. This is the original proper barrel. Over on the right side, we have Remington's proof and acceptance marks. That anchor, by the way, has no relation to the Navy or the Marines or anything like that. That was just an internal Remington stamp. You'll find that on Remington 51 pistols as well. The top of the barrel has standard Remington manufacturing marks there. Note we have Browning's patent, 1915. These guns were originally fitted with bead front sights so that you could hold the thing up to your line of sight and more or less aim it. They were really intended for firing from the hip though, and several of the ones I've seen, including this one and the other one that Morphy's has right now, both have those front bead sights removed, almost certainly so that they don't snag on things. The grip is a short pistol grip here. This one appears to have a rack number from someone's agency on it, although I don't know what agency had this gun. You've got a hole here for the tang screw to actually attach this pistol grip. And then interesting to point out, the screw here that allows you to remove the fire control group on regular Model 17s, that's just a plain screw. On the Police Special, at least Both the ones that are here at Morphy's, as well as another one that I've seen pictures of, have this extended lug built into the screw. And this is almost certainly for some type of shoulder holster carry rig. You basically use this as a button and you can snap it into or loop it into a leather strap to carry the gun under an arm, something like that. Unfortunately, I don't have any example of the actual an actual rig that would carry one of these, so I can't show that to you. One of the things that makes the Model 17 particularly suitable to this sort of adaptation is the fact that it is an entirely ambidextrous, or virtually entirely ambidextrous gun from the beginning. So it's not a side ejecting gun. It is bottom ejecting as well as bottom loading. We have a slide release here at the front of the trigger guard that can be operated with either hand. The safety is in the trigger guard, so it's a little more convenient to operate this right-handed than left-handed just because of the difference between engaging or deactivating the safety, but fundamentally, like essentially an ambidextrous style of safety. So you can use this in very tight quarters, you can switch hands with it, and it's quite convenient. Incidentally, on the very early production 17 Police Specials, the design of the pistol grip was a bit different. They actually had a spur sort of thing up here to help retain your hand. Again, very similar to what you would find on an Ithaca Auto and Burglar, but that was removed relatively quickly because it really wasn't necessary, and in some cases it was actually less comfortable than just having a smooth pistol grip like this. Because of the existence of the Shockwave sort of systems, I know people are going to ask about the NFA status of the 17 Police Special. Of course, when it was introduced, it had none because the NFA didn't exist. Today, however, this is a registered AOW and any other weapon. And if you put a traditional standard buttstock on it, it would become a short-barreled shotgun. Now, this has a 14.5-inch barrel, and it has an overall length, and this is the critical part, of 25.5 inches. In order for the Shockwave to qualify as not being a shotgun and not being any other weapon, it has to have an overall length greater than 26 inches. And this critically does not by about half an inch. That may seem like poor foresight, but you know what? Remington couldn't really predict all the details of the NFA when they made this gun 10 plus years before the NFA existed. So in theory, very similar to the Mossberg Shockwave concept, but not actually viable for it. Of course, now, as of when I'm filming this, there is the tax has been removed on AOWs and short-barreled shotguns. So transfer tax on this does require NFA registration, but it doesn't require any payment of tax to get. So there you go. First, when these became available on the market, they were of interest to police departments. The New York Police Department was the first agency to actually purchase them. They were followed by St. Louis, Milwaukee, a number of others, and these agencies tended to keep these guns in inventory for quite a long time. They didn't buy a lot of them. This is not the sort of thing they wanted to equip every officer with, but it is a really convenient sort of thing to say, roll up in a newspaper for the guy in a trench coat and a fedora doing undercover surveillance. That sort of thing. So they did get out there. Total production isn't clear, but it's only a couple hundred guns. And it's also worth pointing out that these were typically issued with both this pistol grip assembly and also a normal Model 17 stock, so that they could actually be deployed as very short, handy, traditional style shotguns as well if an agency wanted. And that certainly helped keep them a little more generally utilitarian rather than only being this sort of little short thing. Anyway, I thought these are really cool. I don't think a lot of people recognize that the Shockwave style of shotgun did exist from the factory 100 years ago. Big thanks to Morphy's for giving me the opportunity to film this one for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.